So you finally got around to watching The Moors, whereas
Yes.
you thought you'd watched it, but that was a different film. Now you've watched the correct film. So that's
you
good.
can't say correct. I've seen
No,
both. At least
the one that I
I've
was
seen,
saying, have you seen it? And you're like, yes. It turns out that was a different film, which I haven't seen.
which I'm going to say it's your fault because you should have said The Moors and not The Moor. So grammatically incorrect there. So, but at least I can say I've seen both.
You have. Well, I can't.
I've seen The Moor and The Moors. I did like The Moor and I did like The Moors. So I think you probably would have shouted at me if I turned around and said The Moors is a bad film. But
once I'd worked out that you hadn't watched The Moors that I was talking about, I messaged Adam and I'm like, I'm still going to leave that bit in the podcast because, to be fair, what Stu said about what he thought was your film was vague enough and still positive, so it's fine. I'm leaving it in because that way I don't have to edit it. So that is in there. But The Moors I thought it was a feature film before I'd watched it because I'm not quite over what I've been ill with over the past few months, but I'm doing a lot better than I was. So the early times, Adam had sent me the screener link for The Moors at the height of my I don't feel well, and I thought I want to concentrate on this film, so I don't want to half-ass watch it while I'm thinking just kill me now type thing. And so I'd put it off. So I put it off, and then I started to get better, and I thought, right, I'll get around to watching the first film that I actually really want to pay attention to, which was his. And turned out it was only a half an hour. So I'm like, I could have actually done that a few weeks back. So I felt bad for making him wait so long for my review. So it is a half-hour werewolf British film, paid for out of his own pocket. If you ask Adam, he did everything. He did the directing, the writing, and all that sort of stuff. I'm sure he had a few people helping him as well, but it is pretty much an Adam Mawson film. And now you've watched it, so what's your thoughts?
Yeah, it sits at a 9.2 as well on IMDb.
Wow. Okay.
Yeah, it's only he's had 22 reviews, but still a 9.2. He was sort of like sweating over the fact that a couple of people have sort of like review bombed him a little bit and
sweating is an understatement, and we'll talk about that in a minute.
Which he got some advice from Fraser, which I was reading the advice and I thought, yeah, actually that you should follow that advice because what Fraser said is exactly correct.
Fraser, so I'd seen we'll cover the review bombing type thing. So Adam had done a posting where somebody had left a crappy review, and people leave crappy reviews of every film nowadays. It's crazy. And Fraser and I were chatting about Adam, and it's sort of, it needs to get a thicker skin. If you're going to put a film on the internet or on anywhere, you're going to get the trolls and the people who just, you release Citizen Kane nowadays or whatever. People are going to, get it, it's terrible, blah. You're going to get review bombed for anything. And Fraser and I were trying to give Adam some advice, going, seriously, we get it. You put a film out that you've spent years on of your life and money out of your pocket on, and it sucks when some idiot who just doesn't, watches your film on a phone or whatever, when they leave a bad review. But you'll drive yourself insane if you allow these review bombs to drive you insane. So yeah, Fraser and I were like, Adam, seriously. And the thing is I enjoyed it. I liked The Moors. I thought it was fun. I would, of course, liked him to have had a bigger budget, but I'm the same for most films, certainly indie films. I would like to have seen it expanded a bit more, but I get why it is a half-hour film. But I had fun watching it. I liked a lot of the little Easter eggs in it where Adam was freaking out that I was going to put all these in a review. I'm like, I don't do that. Half the time, Adam, when I'm doing reviews, I don't even talk about what the plot of the film is. I just do enough to make people go watch it for themselves. So he clearly loves werewolf movies. That's a given. There's some lovely little nods to the fact that he loves that type of movie in the film. I had fun. I like what he did. I think I'd heard him saying that he wasn't going to make another film. I hope he changes his mind, and I hope he does make another film, because I'll watch it. So.
Yeah, well, I was kind enough to actually write an IMDb review of it for it as well, which I don't think I've ever done in the past. To the best of my knowledge, I don't think I've actually wrote one. And the limitations on IMDb is weird. You've got to write something that's more than 400 characters.
Yeah.
So I thought, oh, you've got to be you're limited to 400 characters, and so I wrote a quick little one, and then I had to change it.
So you got to expand it.
Yeah, so I was very kind to the film because very much like yourself, I love good old-fashioned horror films that get to the point, and that's pretty much what The Moors does. It just gets to the point. It feels very old school, old-fashioned in its styling. It uses practical effects, which I will always give people huge, massive credit for using practical effects, because a lot of people cheap out and go with CGI these days, and CGI, if you think about it, is actually more expensive to do practical effects. And so I pat them on the back for that. And it's just taken from the review that I did in one of the sentences. I just said, it's so nice these days to be able to put something on that's bite-sized, that doesn't waste your time and entertains, which the Moors manages to do, and it does it so well. Which pretty much it is that. He's got an idea. I'm unlike you. I think the idea itself suited the short form rather than the longer form. If it is that he is going to expand on the idea or create something more feature length.
Yeah, I mean, I've not heard that he's going to do that. It's just like I often see a short film and go, I'd quite like to spend a bit more time with some of these characters.
He would have needed to expand on it a lot more so, and so no offense to him, and this is where I'll start criticizing him a little bit. It needed to be better written if it was where it needs to expand to that full length side, because the film itself, for what we get, there is just the right amount to actually fit that 30-minute short form, maybe 45 minutes at a push. Yeah. Because I think he would have been delving into territory where he would have just had padding. Like, he would have had stretches of scenes where it was just people talking for no.
And there's nothing worse than that, because that would have taken you out of the enjoyment of the Moors that we watched.
Exactly. Yeah. And considering the kind of film that he's creative film, which it is a creature feature, which it is harkening back to the old schools, American Werewolf in London kind of films.
Yeah, like The Howling and all that sort of stuff. Yep.
Yeah, those films themselves do have scenes where it is character interactions, but it does get to the point when it needs to get to the point. And this film, it was just to get to the point kind of film. And so I don't think expanding it beyond maybe 45 minutes would have actually worked. I think it would have been a detriment to the film because he had just enough to actually fill it. And again, practical effects, I'll give him a huge, massive hug for that.
Because they don't date as much as CG.
No.
You know, CG dates really fast. And the thing is, it's like we're looking at practical effects and we know they're practical. So if we watch that in 10, 15 years, we're still going to know it's practical and we go, it's fine. I still prefer it to CG stuff.
So the best sort of like compliment I can actually give him is it reminded me of when I watched a couple of Jake West's films.
Yeah.
So Evil Aliens, which I did like. Stupid film, that. And if he can make me like a Danny Dyer film, a director make me like a Danny Dyer film, then he deserves a huge, massive pat on the back. And so watching The Moors was very similar to watching things like Evil Aliens and Doghouse. Somebody who's got a very low budget, they've got an idea, they've stuck to that idea, they haven't decided to go out of the boundaries of that idea because they knew or probably have known that it would have made the film a hell of a lot weaker, and just created something that they wanted to create. And unlike with Megalopolis, where Francis Ford Coppola wanted to create a film just for himself, I think Adam's gone and created a film for himself, but he understands the audience that he's creating the film for.
Yeah.
Like, he knows that the audience out there that wants to see these kind of films are out there to watch something where it is just a werewolf ripping people apart.
Yeah.
And so
that's all I wanted from it. I'm like, I want to watch a film made by a guy who I speak to on Facebook and stuff, who clearly loves movies. I want to see him have fun, make a fun film that makes other people have fun, with a bunch of his friends and a bunch of people that he's casted and stuff. And it was just like, it's entertaining. That's all I need out of a film. Entertain me. And The Moors did.
Yep.
And he's released it on physical media as well. I have the film on Blu-ray, which has got some extra features and stuff, which I've not checked out yet. But I do want to do a commentary with him at some point. So we'll just sit down and watch his film, and I want to hear everything about his experience making The Moors, because I think, making a film isn't easy. And I think that as soon as he finished the film, I think he probably had a good old lie down and thought, I'm glad that's finished.
Yes.
Because I suspect that there was a lot of work that went into that. And I think he took a lot of it on his shoulders, either by his own choice or either by they're not able to find the funds to pay somebody else to do that section of work. So I think the story behind the making of it, I bet, is really interesting. So I'm going to chase him down at some point, probably when he hears this, and he'll be like,
Probably,
oh,
yeah. And just because I'm nice to you now, Adam, does not mean I will be nice to you in the future. I
No.
am an honest person. If I don't like something, I've warned Neil Johnson about this numerous times. I've warned pretty much anybody who speaks to me on Facebook or Twitter/X or anything like that. I will be brutally honest about your film.
Well, Adam messaged me, and he said that you'd watched it, and I'd seen that you'd liked it because you and I had chatted about it. And I'm like, you need to remember the fact that Stu Miller liked your film, because trust me, he doesn't like the majority of movies that he watches. I think I've probably phrased it a bit different, but you get the gist of it. It's like, if Stu Miller gives you a good review, that's a good review. That counteracts like 20 bad reviews that somebody might decide to give you. So, remind yourself of that praise.
Yes, but if in the future he makes another film and the film's bad, I will definitely tell him your movie is bad.
I hope he does make another one, because we chatted when we started this off by talking about the Blair Witch Project, and I wonder how many people watched the Blair Witch and thought, I'm going to make a film. I would possibly just say Adam maybe is one of those people who watched a Clerks or a Blair Witch Project and thought, I can make a movie, I can do that. And it's nice when people do try and make a film themselves with their friends in the area they live in, and they put their all into it. And it's even better when it's a good film and it entertains. Yeah. It's not so good when it's terrible.
Do you know if he tried to ship it around to any of the festivals?
I don't know if he's done festival stuff. I don't think so.
I think I'm probably guessing it's a bit too late now, because it would have been for next year's festival. Yeah. And it would have been out for a year, which is a bit silly to actually do that. But I wonder if sort of like the reaction would have been different from him if he actually did manage to get it shipped out to any of the festivals in the UK.
I know it's on Amazon Prime now, so he's managed to get it on Prime, which is pretty good. And he did get the batch of Blu-rays done. But I would like to have seen him sit down in an auditorium with a bunch. He did a premiere, but the thing is with premieres, they're generally surrounded by all the people that know you.
Yeah, and we're involved in the film and things like that. Yeah,
it's like if you make a film and then you invite all your friends to the premiere, they're generally going to go, oh my God, that was amazing. That's the best thing I've seen since Stand By Me type thing. You can't, you've got to filter that out, haven't you? But to sit in it at a festival with a bunch of strangers and a bunch of people who have paid money to go to a festival, if they love it, that's got to be one of the best feelings.
It's just a pity as well that the independent cinema scene is not as thriving as it was maybe say 10 years ago, because it possibly could have been where you might have asked a couple of independent cinemas to say, could we have just one night where we could show it for one night on one of the screens? Then we could advertise it, the fact that we're showing it in this cinema. I know somebody who's got his own cinema and he potentially would have done that, but he's limited to the amount of films that he can show because the amount of screens that he's got is very minimal. That might have helped a lot more. So I think if he did release the film probably 10 years prior to this, I think it would have been out there a lot more easier than it is. Because these days, yes, you can get it onto streaming, but trying to even get it onto streaming is probably going to be so hard to do.
It's not easy, is it? And then trying to get everybody's attention because there is that much on streaming platforms. But Adam might be listening to this going, I did put it in festival. We don't know. We're not, Adam, you're the expert of your film. We're just guessing.
Yes.
But yeah,
he should, as you said, he needs to get a little bit more of a thicker skin when it comes to the trolls and the critics and stuff like that. Not everybody will like your film. You can genuinely tell from somebody's critical response if they've actually paid attention to the film or not, and who were trolls. The trolls are the ones you just kind of completely ignore because they're just doing that to get onto your back. Just to dig their fingernails into your skin, and unfortunately it can work, especially if it's your first film. You are going to be even more hypersensitive to what people think about it. You just need to take it on your back, on your shoulder. Don't just always listen also to the people who praise your film to the hilt, because that will give you an ego complex, and so it means that what you create in the future, you'll instantly think it's the best thing you've ever created.
Like Coppola with his Megalopolis.
Do not do that. The people who you genuinely want to hear things from are not critics, are the audience who watch it, who actually genuinely have watched the film.
Yeah.
They're the people you want to listen to some extent. Again,
Trolls will generally just leave a review that said this film sucked. It's the worst thing I've ever
Yes.
seen in my entire life, which could apply to any film out there. If the review was like the character development and the use of practical effects and all that, it goes into all that stuff, then you know that they've watched the film. You got to work out whether the reviewer has clearly watched the film, like you said, and usually they haven't. They just give a generic crap review.
In all honesty, at this moment in time, the best critical responses to listen to are the people who throw their ideas up on TikTok.
Okay.
Of all places, if I'm being completely honest, because there's a few people who I follow on TikTok, mainly horror ones, who do horror reviews, and they are completely honest. They are not biased at all. They are completely honest, and I really like them for that. They critically see it as to the reason why they liked something, why they didn't like something, what the problems were with the film, what the best things about the film was, without spoiling the film.
Yeah.
And so I listen to them, and sort of like they have a sort of like, I think it's just maybe the way I'm in a way hearing myself through them, because they have a similar kind of viewpoint as me. So I'm wondering if I like them because of that. Very egotistical, that, but yeah, I think the critical response from some people on TikTok is actually really good. So I'm wondering if even reaching out to a few people like that to maybe go, well, here's a link to my film.
Yeah.
Can you just do a quick little review? Because more and more people are doing reviews on TikTok because it's a bite-sized thing. They can get the viewpoints across in no more than 3 minutes. Yeah. And that was the reason why I had the idea with that. But because so much is happening in my life now, not for the positive, unfortunately, that I've had to throw that to the wayside. But yeah, even if you can speak to somebody or a couple of people on TikTok and do that, and maybe get them to watch the film to see what they think, because they're going to give you an honest opinion.
Of course.
They're not going to troll it, because they don't want their TikTok page to be tarnished. Yeah. And so if you won't have any connection to them, hopefully, so they can't be biased as well. So they're just going to give their honest opinion.
Because I'd seen Adam's previous film, Abduction, and I liked it. And then I've seen The Moors, and he has come on leaps and bounds from Abduction to The Moors. So
I haven't seen Abduction. I thought The Moors was his first film.
No, he'd done stuff before. So if I'll try and Adam will probably send you a link. You'll get one. Bing! You're like, okay, thanks for listening, Adam. Abduction was good, but this is better, The Moors. And I'm hoping he does make another film. And if he does the same leap, then he's well away. But yeah, trolls are going to be trolls. You just got to, ignore them, really, and listen to the people whose opinion you trust. Like you mentioned, TikTok film reviewers, or you, or me. But I hope he carries on. But I enjoyed it. It's fun. I'm looking forward to checking the special features out on the Blu-ray. I'm happy that he's done a physical release for it, because that way I've always got this film, and
Yeah, and one thing though, to just give him a little bit of a negative response, less of the cut to black, please. Try to cut that down just a little bit.
Oh, is it transitions?
Yes, the transitions cut to black. Less of that, please. Try to meld the scenes together a little bit better, and please stick to the practical effects and the drone stuff. I really like that. I think that's a really good way to get an expansive shot. To sort of like bleed into a next one, or to show the scale of some areas without having to spend a full day in Dartmoor or somewhere like that, having to film just a lot of stuff that you would have to cut. A drone shot is a really good way of doing it. So thinking outside of the box when trying to shoot scenes, I do like that as well. Less of the cut to blacks.
To be fair, I watched David Fincher's Zodiac last night, and that had quite a few cut to blacks as well. So
it's an annoying trope. I'm not a fan of it at all. It's just so disconnecting, because it's just, you can definitely tell that's where the director has ended the scene, so he can put the next scene on. It's just you need to make sure you've got a cohesion together. Yeah. So
it's not a bad critique though. If all you can say is your fade to blacks, then Adam, you've done well. So
he'll probably shout at us, I did it for a reason. Okay, fine.
And that's fine. Yeah, it's fine. I mean, some people might like the cut to blacks. I'm not. I'm just sort of in the middle of them. I'm like, you're not a fan of them. So everybody has their opinion, and that's fine.
Yep.